Actress Rose McGowan's new book, Brave, details the abuse she says she suffered on set and the alleged assault by Harvey Weinstein. One of numerous stories that helped to broaden the Me Too movement, encouraging women to speak up and out. She joined The View this morning where she weighed in on that growing conversation.
So everyone wore black to the Golden Globes in solidarity with the movement. Now, you called all of this, quote-unquote, Hollywood fakery.
I might know something. Just saying. You know, the thing is that it's the intentions are good, but I know the people behind it. You know, it's 4 CIA agents who needed good PR. And I hope that they desperately help these women. I believe these women really, but there's Justin Timberlake hashtagging my wife looks hot tonight, hashtag time's up, hashtag I just did a movie with Woody Allen. So come on. It is fake. I wish it weren't. I wish everybody was good. I wish it wasn't like, I'm sorry to puncture your heroes, but sometimes these heroes need to be better.
Me Too, Time's Up, our everyday interactions with coworkers, even friends. There is something different in this post-Harvey Weinstein era. But where is it leading us? And what's the best way to move forward? Is it wearing black? Is it having a conversation? Is it carrying a rose? Nancy Erika Smith is a civil rights attorney and activist. She also represented former Fox News anchor Gretchen Carlson in her sexual harassment claims against that network. I love that we get to keep having this conversation because I think you can bring us such perspective, too, because this is not your first rodeo, as we know, and we're going down this road. But the conversation is decidedly different. Is it helpful or harmful when we're also, as Rose McGowan just did, she's saying, you know what, I don't think it's all genuine out there?
Well, I certainly understand Rose McGowan's anger, and she has an absolute right to be angry, and there are a lot of enablers. It took a lot of complicity to allow Harvey Weinstein to sexually assault women for probably 50 years, as it did with Roger Ailes and Bill O'Reilly and Jimmy Savile at the BBC and in the Catholic Church and in private schools and in gymnastics. So the anger is very real, and we are moving the conversation along, and it is important to say it's not enough to have a hashtag. We need to change things, and we are changing things because women won't be silent anymore.
What are you noticing? Because you have been working on behalf of not just women, but, you know, in terms of civil rights for so long. How is it changing even now when people are coming to you, whether for advice or for representation? Does it feel different?
It feels different because women are not as afraid. They feel empowered by other women speaking out. It's, as we saw at the march a couple Saturdays ago, women banding together and supporting one another and knowing that they're not alone is so key. That's what happened with Harvey Weinstein, Roger Ailes, Bill O'Reilly. And we are saying we don't want silence anymore. Gretchen and I were in Congress promoting the bill to stop mandatory arbitration. If everything isn't secret, this is going to end. So women speaking out is so important, and it will change everything.
There's backlash, too, as you know.
Right.
You know, men are being fired immediately as soon as somebody tweets something. They should be given due process.
Right.
Where we're seeing, too, I mean, you know, Rose McGowan, everybody has a right to weigh in on how they feel about a movement, right? And there's not just one voice for a movement. We also saw the Grammys, hashtag Grammys so male. Kelly Clarkson sort of pushed back on that and said, look, there's an ebb and a flow to music. With all of those conversations going on, are we still moving the ball forward?
Yeah, I think there's going to inevitably be a backlash. Men aren't going to quickly say, okay, women, now you're equal. Share in all our institutions. Help us run the media. Help us write movies. Help us sing songs. The Grammy president said women have to try harder. Maybe that's how they'll maybe win Grammys.
That went over like a lead balloon, didn't it?
Really, really. The backlash is inevitable. We had a backlash when we tried to say to police, no, it's not okay for men to beat their wives. No, you actually do have to arrest them. It was 30 years ago, but we changed it. We literally changed it. But there was a strong backlash, even the churches interfering with the holy sanctity of matrimony. So now we should expect the backlash, and we shouldn't accept it. Men are getting plenty of due process. Forever, women haven't had due process because if they complain, they lost their jobs, if not their careers. When all those women get their jobs back, I'll start crying for the men.
Fair enough. I do want to get your take, too, on there's been so much happening. You and I were talking in the break. You two were glued watching all of these victim impact statements in regards to Larry Nassar. last week. As we know, the House last night passing this bill. So in relation to this, passing this bill, which would force athletic organizations to report sexual abuse and to notify police within 24 hours when necessary. Overwhelmingly supported, as it should be, on both sides. Expected to pass in the Senate today. Some former USA gymnasts who were sexually abused by Larry Nassar spoke out today about the bill.
The passing of this bill is a huge victory. The implementation of proactive child athlete safety measures is a distinct and positive turning point in our sports and all sports history. This bill emphasizes the protection of all youth athletes with mandatory reporting when abuse, sexual or otherwise, is suspected. Thank you to the public servants who heard our voices and for the bipartisan support of this bill. Thanks to you and the voices of the survivors, we can now confidently say that future generations of children participating in sports will be safer.
While we celebrate today and look forward to this law being enacted, there is still work to be done. In order to uncover how the USOC, USAG, and Michigan State University failed young athletes, we need them to first be transparent. Once this is accomplished, we can then begin to understand how such a heinous crime was allowed to go under the radar for 20 years.
I should point out, too, it was in the works for some time. They had to make a few changes, which is why it actually came back right now with this timing. And yet, you read it, and it is mind-boggling to think that there was nothing in place that said, yes, if somebody brings this allegation, you have to report it to law enforcement. I mean, how many other institutions are lacking this common sense measure?
Every institution, private schools are missing it, and we've seen this. The church was missing it. Workplaces are missing it. Public schools are missing it. I'm watching it saying, it is about time. But we know from the Weinstein case that even law enforcement has to take things more seriously. Just reporting it to law enforcement doesn't necessarily result in accountability. There has been a lack of accountability because women and children have not been valued in our culture. Men and male institutions are protected at all costs. We've seen it time and again, and it's time for it to stop.
Does it change when there is a man speaking up? So we saw Senator Feinstein there, Dan Feinstein, standing up with these women. Plenty of women have come forward. Plenty of women in Congress have raised their hands and said, me too, let me tell you about what life is like in Washington.
Right.
When men join the conversation, does it make things happen more quickly?
Absolutely. It always does. I mean, how many times have you sat in a meeting where women are talked over and their ideas are ignored, and then a man says the same idea?
Yes.
Oh, that's brilliant, right?
Yes,
It happened to all of us. So, yeah, we need good men to join us so that the whole culture changes and listens. But hopefully the culture's going to start listening to us. I hope so.
Listen, I am confident that we will continue to have these conversations and that they're being heard by so many people. So always a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.